Well, thank you for joining me today, Dr. Erin Wamsley. She is a keynote at the IASD conference this year. Dr. Wamsley is an associate professor of psychology and neuroscience at Furman University. And in her keynote, she will review evidence that memory reactivation during sleep can influence the content of our dreams, which may explain some of the bizarre and imaginative scenarios that we experience every night. So, dreams may offer a window into how the sleeping brain uses memory to build knowledge and plan for what's next. So that's a quick summary, but I would love for you to tell me in a little bit more detail, what can we expect from your presentation this year?
Well, as you said, I'll be talking about how memory consolidation in the sleeping brain might influence dreams. Of course, it's been known for many, many years that dreams must be influenced by memories because, of course, we often dream of people we know in real life, things that might be similar to or echo events that we've experienced in real life. We dream of the things we do and the social situations that occur in real life. But it wasn't until the 1990s that neuroscience really started discovering exactly how memory systems are operating during sleep. And it was discovered first in animals that, on a cellular level, recently established memories are literally um, played back when animals fall asleep in a brain region called the hippocampus and also throughout the rest of the brain. And yeah, it turns out that that is a major mechanism of how we convert short term memory into long term memory. After we have an experience, there are brain processes that occur preferentially during sleep that help to stabilize and strengthen those baby new memories over time. And you can see in the brain, recent experiences are being reactivated during sleep. And so, of course, that begs the question, well, that doesn't definitely mean that that process is influencing dreaming, but maybe it is. And so, in our lab going some years back, we did find evidence that not only is it the case that sleep improves memory, which is a whole area of research, as I'm sure many conference attendees know, but sleeping and dreaming about your recent experiences is especially associated with improved memory. So there is this unique component of, yes, those research participants that have a dream that relates to what they experienced earlier are the ones whose memory especially benefits from sleep. But in this talk, I'll be going beyond that to also talk about some of our latest research about how, well, it would be very oversimplified to say, oh, dreaming strengthens memory, or it's all about like taking a memory trace and then just strengthening it. No, sleep is also about taking new information and integrating it with our existing knowledge, which helps to explain why, yeah, dreams obviously are not just like a literal replay of something that actually happened to you. Dreams are bizarre and they stitch bits and pieces of an experience you just had with emotions and knowledge and a past experience and pull this whole bizarre amalgam together. So I'll be talking about a cognitive neuroscience perspective on how that type of dream that's just bits and pieces of memories stitched together with past knowledge might represent taking a new thing that we have learned and integrating that with the rest of our past memories and knowledge stores and emotion.
Yeah, that's so exciting. It makes so much sense. And it's a really important topic. A lot of people wonder how dreams are made and what are the purpose of dreamings. So I think this talk is going to answer a lot of really important questions and, set the stage for future research that can be done. So that's really exciting. I hope people tune into your keynote presentation. I'm curious a little bit about your personal career with dream research. How did you get into it? And how did you guys take interest in studying dreams in the lab?
Well, it is a topic that I have really long been interested in. So now, my research at Furman is on a variety of topics, but my original drive to get into science and into psychology was to study dreams specifically. So even going back to like high school and college, I was always fascinated because I personally am just one of those individuals that has very vivid dream recall, like somewhat less now that I'm getting old, but because there are aging changes, but still, I remember a lot of dreams and a lot of vivid dreams. And then I've been a lifelong lucid dreamer as well, which I know is a topic a lot of attendees at this conference are interested in. And I guess when I started like trying to read some science on, well, what causes dreams and like what is lucid dreaming, it was just amazing how little was known, like how poorly we understood these processes. So when I started off doing like undergraduate research experiences at Guilford College, I did a project on lucid dreaming and applying to graduate schools. I was specifically looking for where I can study sleep and dreaming. So for graduate school, I went to City University of New York and studied under John Antrobus, who was a real pioneer in the early days of dream research in the 60s, 70s, and continuing on. And then it was like around that time that the stuff about memory networks becoming reactivated during sleep was discovered. And, kind of putting those pieces together, I decided that would be like a fruitful direction to take. How can we understand how the process by which dream content is generated?
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you're a lucid dreamer as well. I myself am a lifelong lucid dreamer, so I understand just the passion and fascination for dreams.
Mhm.
I also have a psychology background, so I totally relate on that. And I was wanting to ask you, where do you think the future is going with this type of research? Like, what is next for your studies, and how can we take, what you're presenting in your presentation and continue to build on this?
It's tough. Dream research is a challenging area because I really would strongly say that we still do not know a specific brain signature of dreaming. I mean, yes, I know there's been this paper published and that paper published, but nothing that is like really solid, replicated, accepted, and that we can sink our teeth into. Meaning that still the only like gold standard for how to measure dreams is to wake someone up and ask them. So we are definitely still at the point where, in my opinion, the only valid measure of what really did they dream, and even were they dreaming or not dreaming, cannot be a neuroscience measure. It is a introspective measure, a measure of subjective experience. And of course, we all know that memory for dreams, even among like people like us who are bragging that we have good dream recall, memory for dreams among everyone is poor. um, and so I think it is by nature challenging to deal with a poorly remembered experience from a different state of consciousness that research participants can only report on after the fact, where we have not yet discovered a brain signature. So I would say the future is continuing to try to get more scientists engaged in studying this tough topic. It is really a very small area of research, and I think we need more minds and more laboratories to say, hey, this is tough, but we can tackle it and we can make process. So, what we're doing in our lab, I think, is one small piece of the big picture of understanding dreams. And we are making progress on understanding how memory consolidation maps onto dreaming, but that is not the whole story of the big questions that you just asked. Why do we dream? Or is there even a reason why we dream? Is that even a question that makes sense? There's so much that is still open. And so I guess my answer is to pass the buck and say, let's get more people involved and hope to see this be a research area that grows. And I think that is ultimately where big progress will come.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's starting to happen, and the next few decades are going to be very important for dream research. I think we're still so early on, but I'm excited for more people to get interested in this. More funding to come into dream research labs, more participants. 'Cause I know that's hard as well. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. I really appreciate the foundation you've laid, and I've noticed from my own personal experience, there's many different types of dreams. Some kind of prepare situations about the future. Some of them process memories from the past. Some of them have more, metaphysical and spiritual meaning to me. So I think that all these different layers of dreams, might be a call to action for neuroscience to expand how we look at things. And I love how you mentioned the inclusion of subjective experience, which maybe has been a little neglected in certain areas of science. So I think that's really cool. My last question for you is more of a personal question about lucid dreaming and just dream recall in general, if you're willing to share, but no pressure. Do you have a cool lucid dream experience that you can tell me about? Maybe like one that stood out to you, one of your favorites?
I would say I'll just share I'll share an example, but it's an example of a larger trend, I think, which is that I find it interesting that in my lucid dreams, which is not like for my daydreams or waking thoughts, they still today, and I'm 45 years old, get kind of stuck in the same themes as even going back to when I was like a teenager or a child. Like there's a lot of repetitive themes and thoughts and contents, even in a lucid dream, right? Where, I lucid dream a lot, but it's not like I'm absolutely controlling, what's in the dream from the start or what it's about. So, an example would be in a lucid dream, I will often find myself like in this particular neighborhood at this particular house from my childhood home, right? The neighborhood I grew up in, by like this particular house that is kind of a real house in real life, but kind of not. And there's something mysterious about this house, like maybe something magical, and there's all these like broken windows. And then, like, seeing that will remind me, that I am dreaming, and that often turns into a flying dream. But that's just one example of how even though that is not something that I think about like in my daily life, and many lucid dream themes are like this, uh, I continue to have like the same kind of ideas and themes from the long past come up over. It's like the dream world is not changing that much compared to my waking world. So I've always been interested in that, and like, how is it that my lucid dreams tend to be like so tapped into like the same ideas like over and over again, going back to the long past, which is an example of, I think, what you were alluding to, which is like, look, maybe a lot of dream content could maybe relate to like recent experiences and memories, but like not all of it. And so in my talk, actually, I will be talking about also dreams of the remote, long ago past. But I won't be able to explain that particular lucid dream I just shared.
Yeah, that's awesome. And okay, I lied. I have one last question actually. And this is more of a personal advice question because I'm also a PhD student, or I'm going in that route, psychology. I love dream research. I want to get into that academia world and help contribute to the research. So, do you have any advice for, all of the aspiring researchers that are coming to the conference? Any advice about how we can do to get into this world?
I think it's really hard to just build to, I'm going to be practical and not inspirational. Okay. Let me drip some reality here. It's really difficult to build a career just based on studying dreaming, because whom is going to hire you when you say your area of research is to study dreams, period? And where are you going to get funding to do this research? And yeah, it is expensive, right? Like there's many different methods that one could use involved in studying dreams, but pretty much all of them are expensive and time consuming, whether you're doing at home studies, whether you use EEG or not, whether you use any other, neuroscience measure or not. So I would say that like the most promising way to be able to study dreams would be to have a broad interest in like other related areas of psychology or neuroscience as well, some of which might be more palatable for getting funding and being hired. I mean, especially in the United States right now, it's only getting more and more difficult. For any researcher, young researchers in the US, I would also say definitely broaden your horizons to looking international because graduate program slots are shrinking, funding is shrinking. And so in my own career trajectory, I think it's been really important that I also got interested in waking cognition, mind wandering, daydreaming, technical aspects of like EEG and neuroscience, and memory consolidation, and other elements of sleep. And like my research progress in those areas has been really critical to being able to get a job that allows me to do what I want to do. So I would encourage to like think broadly about like interest beyond dreaming as well. And definitely, I'm concerned about the research environment in the United States right now, particularly for basic research studies like on dreams that maybe don't have like a really clear, immediate clinical or practical application, but are really just about understanding the mind.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to come on here and chat. And so we're really excited for the presentation. So if anybody's interested, it's going to be June 21st online, and all the links will be in the description. So thanks for your time and for sharing with me about your research.
Thank you. No problem.